President Tinubu has failed to secure Nigerians. And I am wondering what he would say to Nigerians when he now begins to campaign for 2027. Because clearly he has absolutely nothing to say to us that will assure us that if we give him another 4 years, he will secure this country. What he couldn't do in the last 3 years, when things are not as bad as they are now, I cannot see this president do anything better rather than getting it worse. If he can, let's see what he would do between now and say November, December, and January. And I can tell you in advance, nothing. Rather than address the core of the problem, he just appointed a special advisor on Homeland Security. What does that mean? What is Homeland Security? What about all this army of institutions and structures and systems that we have on the ground? Clearly, that's an admission of failure. This man, no matter how good he is going to have to operate either under a whole layer of systems and structures and people and institutions that have failed, or he's going to have to create his own structure. And that merely just compounds the problem. So there's no clear thinking. There appears to be a resignation on the part of government that Nigeria has to live with this. And we have to ask the question, why would Tinubu ask Nigerians to re-elect him again? This is the same president that said, if I don't give you power in 4 years, don't vote for me. There's no power. We have less power now than we had when he was in. Now, we are more insecure than when he came to power. On what basis are we going to vote for this man? Just because he's the president and he says, vote for me so that I can have 8 years? 8 years of disaster? Is that what you're asking Nigerians to go through? And I know in 2027, I lead a party that is saying to Nigerians, say no. No. This is our country, sir, and we have suffered enough. If the Senate President did say that 2 weeks after the election, Nigerians will see a secure country, then it leaves only one conclusion. Either he wasn't in his senses when he said that, or they are genuinely playing with our insecurity in order to win an election. What are you waiting for? Why do we need to wait until 2 weeks after an election? And what happens if you lose that election? Are they even thinking of the possibility that they could actually lose that election? You know, we had a president who lost an election. Absolutely. And the heavens didn't fall. Absolutely. So why do we wait? Why do we have to wait? That's why when you mentioned this thing, because this is the first time I'm hearing it, that the Senate President said wait until 2 weeks, within 2 weeks after the election. So in other words, they're now trading votes for our security. Give us votes, and we'll give you security. In other words, what they're doing now is withholding our security and playing with it as an electoral asset. That is the most irresponsible thing anybody could say, not even do, to say, the number 3 citizen of the country, to say to Nigerians, if you vote for us, in 2 weeks you'll be secure. First, with all due respect, I would say he's lying. There's no way you can resecure a country in 2 weeks. Because if you can, this is the time to fix it. 2, he's a poor politician. The most important thing President Tinubu or APC and this administration can do is to secure Nigeria now. Now. Not wait until you win an election. Number 3, by the time we have this election, Nigerians would have been so fed up with an administration that just rolls out press statements, Americans have killed some ISWAP leader, this one has done this one has done this. The second part of the question about blaming politicians, again, is pathetic. This is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria with the entire array of access to information. If you know a politician in this country, or politicians who are using insecurity to demarcate you, to make you unpopular, why don't you pick them up? They are holding a Rufai now on the grounds that he said that he knows someone who was bugging Nuribadu's phone. That is 1,000,000 times less than a president himself, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, with intelligence, with security, everything, saying my enemies are at play. It's my political enemies that are causing this problem. If he said that, then it shows that President Tinubu has completely lost touch with the realities in this country. Because I don't see how you would be president in charge of our security. You swore on the 29th of May 2023 that you protect Nigerians. You have failed to do that. And now you're saying, oh, it was my enemies that have done that. In what way? If he's talking about criticisms, then I'm sorry for him. Nigerians will criticize him because that's his job to secure us. If he's saying that to find excuses, then I'm sorry, that is the lamest excuse you can find. If he's saying that because he has evidence, then it is irresponsible of the president not to move against those people. Enemies or not enemies, any Nigerian who is compounding our insecurity, whether he's in government or outside the government, is an enemy of the people, and it is the responsibility of this administration to deal with it.